have to pay, and I don't have any choice in that.
Mark Janus is talking about union fees. He's worked for Illinois' Department of Health Care and Family Services since 2007 and says as a result he's paid thousands in mandatory dues to the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, or AFSCME. But not by choice. He says he disagrees with the political causes the union supports. Illinois is one of 22 states, including New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, which require public workers to pay some fees to their unions even if they don't become members. Now that could be changing as the United States Supreme Court gets ready to hear Janus's case.
Well, I decided to bring the case because I didn't, I have to pay these mandatory fees, and it goes against my First Amendment rights of freedom of association.
Here in New York, Daniel DeSalvo, an associate professor at CUNY, pays mandatory fees to his teachers' union and says he feels the same way as Janus.
I disagree with many of the union's political positions. This is a case about individual rights and freedom of choice of what kind of speech you want to support.
But AFSCME, the union to which Janus pays fees, says his case is an assault on working Americans. Stefan Mittans, an Illinois state employee, is president of AFSCME Local 2081.
So when you take away the union's strength, you're taking away and you're silencing the voices of those that are marginalized in the first place.
Mittan's concerns were echoed by Mario Salento, the president of the New York State AFL-CIO, which represents some 2 million organized public workers in New York State, from teachers to police officers to bus drivers and sanitation workers.
It's an attack on their ability to have a voice in the workplace.
Salento says there's already a remedy for workers who don't want to pay for their union's political activity because they can opt to only pay agency or fair share fees for the union to collectively bargain for things like wages and benefits.
The fact of the matter is this: if you don't want to pay union dues, you don't have to, yet you still get all of the benefits of that collective bargaining agreement that your union went to the table for.
But Janus's supporters argue even collective bargaining is inherently political because it involves negotiations with the government about how tax dollars are spent. Labor leaders say union workers on average make higher salaries than non-union workers, and workers who don't chip in for the bargaining process are essentially freeloading.
What this case is basically saying is that they want to take away and really diminish the rights of unions across this country because they know less dues money means at some point less power.
DeSalvo, who's authored a book on the subject, doesn't deny this.
Rebalancing of the political forces in New York State could free up politicians to make tough decisions on all kinds of issues.
This will be the second time the Supreme Court has taken up this issue in as many years. In 2016, the court heard a similar case, Friedrichs versus the California Teachers Union, but the death of Justice Antonin Scalia resulted in the court splitting 4-4. With President Trump's decision to name conservative Neil Gorsuch to fill Scalia's vacancy, the court appears poised to rule against the unions.
Are unions worried about this potential decision?
I wouldn't say worried. I say we're cognizant of the case.
As for Janus, he says he's not anti-union.
Unions have a place, and I do not disagree with the collective bargain process. But what I do think is that you have just as much right to say yes to a union as well as the right to say no to a union, and whether you want to be a member.
The Supreme Court justices will hear the case on Monday, and then a decision is expected sometime in the spring. In downtown Brooklyn, I'm Stacey Delicat, Fox 5 News.